Hey, podcast listeners. I'm Chris Morocco, food director of Bon Appetit and Epicurious, and host of the Dinner SOS podcast. Each week on the show, we bring the expertise of the Bon Appetit test kitchen to your kitchen. And this season, we've got a little something for everyone. We're debating whether spring produce is actually worth all the hype, solving your hosting anxieties, and helping you become a better baker with our BA Bake Club episodes on Dinner SOS.
It happened to me, actually, when I had my food blog. The Food Network came calling.
Oh, yeah.
And they had me shoot a pilot or shoot a test video. And I wrote this whole script. And I was on a soundstage at the Food Network. And there was a whole crew on the set with cameras and lights and stuff. And I just froze. I literally just froze.
Yeah.
Because I couldn't remember what I had to say. And it was one of the most mortifying experiences of my life.
This is Taste. I'm your host, Matt Rodbard. The great Adam Roberts is back in the show, and I couldn't be more happy to speak with him about his terrific debut novel, Food Person. You may know Adam from his pioneering food blog, Amateur Gourmet, but I know him now as a fiction writer, digging into the world we talk about here often on the show, food media, cookbooks, collaborations, and all the behind-the-scenes drama that can pop up. Adam has written an incredible universe in this novel, and we talk about how he wrote it and how cookbooks truly informed the writing. And at the top of the show, it's the return of Three Things, where Eliza and I talk about what is exciting us in the world of restaurants, cookbooks, and the food world as a whole. I hope you enjoy this episode. Eliza, we're back at Three Things. How are you?
I'm good, Matt. How are you?
I'm great. I think you just returned from a trip.
Yeah, I was just in Chicago,
Yeah.
Which is one of my favorite cities to visit, especially when it's nice out.
Yeah.
For a friend's wedding. So I did a lot of wedding things, but I had a couple eating adventures, of course, that I can share as well. Maybe I'll start with a really great lunch that I had. Shirley and I were trying to find a place to eat. We wanted to go to Kasama, but the line is just so intense that we figured we would just go to Ukrainian Village in that neighborhood and look around for a spot. We ended up at a really good Chinese place called Lao Pengyo, which means old friend in Mandarin. And everything that they had there was really so delicious. We tried to rank our favorites, and I think the top couple were, they do really good dumplings. We got pork and chive classic. They come in a chili broth, basically, with sesame seeds and all kinds of pickled things. And so you're kind of slurping on the broth and eating these dumplings. Also, their house noodle soup was so, so good. They do beef noodle soup and kind of protein-rich, hearty soups, but the house noodle soup is just thin noodles and this spiced soy broth that has some infused lard and green onion in it.
Wow.
And it was really delicate, light, well-balanced,
Beautiful.
kind of cold, so perfect. And then I guess the third thing I'll mention is their cucumber salad had the most cilantro I've ever experienced on a cucumber salad before. So much, it felt like confetti and you kind of mixed it through, but it was really light and fresh and delicious, and I just really liked this restaurant. It's called Lao Pengyo.
That's great. I love this pairing with cucumber salad.
Yeah, we got we got so many things that we had to take home leftovers, and we ate them late night after the wedding. We got a sweet douhua tofu pudding that kind of fell into that category. But
Great 2 a.m., 1 a.m., maybe later.
It was
snack.
great. Yeah.
Love that.
What's your first thing?
My first thing is I talked about with Jaya and briefly on Food Writers, talking about food writing. Overcompensating. Have you seen the show?
No, I haven't.
It is really, really, really good. I watched it in a couple days. It's on Amazon streaming now. It's from Benito Skinner, who is known as Benny Drama online, and just absolutely hilarious show. It's set in a college, and the log line is, Benny arrives extremely closeted, and he is going through it his first few weeks and then months of school, and it gives a lot of can't hardly wait energy, but with Benny's extremely unique and I would say full of heart comedy. It is a way of speaking about this experience he had when he was at Georgetown. It's autobiographical in many ways, which I've read about online. That I just love the show. The cast too, Wally Barham and Adam DeMarco from White Lotus fame play incredible roles, and I just cannot say enough about the show.
Yeah, I've been wanting to check it out. So now that you have the cosign, I'll have to give it a look.
So great. What's your next thing?
My next thing is a little like fun drink that I had in Chicago. I went to Foxtrot Market, which I think is like largely closed, but they still have a couple locations in Chicago. And I got this drink called Betweener. Have you tried this before?
No, I haven't. I love Foxtrot though. It's
It felt like I was doing like a Matt kind of cosplay moment because I know you like Foxtrot. And went into the store and we needed like a little afternoon pick me up, which is what this canned drink brand is explicitly marketed towards with the name Betweener. It's a caffeine, like green tea caffeine and L-theanine sparkling drink. They have a couple flavors. We got the passion fruit lime flavor.
Wow.
Very delicious, refreshing. We split it so it wasn't like that much caffeine. I think each can has like a cup of coffee, but it was super good, and I've been looking for it at like Whole Foods and places since I've been back in New York, and I haven't seen it, so it might be only in Chicago for now. It's called Betweener.
Betweener. So they're going for like energy drink, but
Yes.
managing the caffeine and making it feel not so energy drinky.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Which I would not normally drink an energy drink, but
Yeah.
I guess that's what this was. So
Sounds cool.
worked for me.
I love that the name says what it is.
Yeah. What's your next thing?
My next thing is I got to go to the new iteration of Mission Chinese. I believe it's being framed as Mission Chinese 6. I'm not sure if that's just the iteration. And I am really happy to report that it is exceptional. I'm very excited about it. It's located at 45 Mott, which is in Chinatown in New York's in Manhattan, and I was thrilled about this kind of reboot. It's not really officially in a Mission Chinese proper. It's like a pop-up within an established restaurant, but by all means, this is Mission Chinese back in action. And to remind, this is Danny Bowen's restaurant. The great John DeBerry is GM there, so I got to visit with John, and he's working the floor, and just great vibes inside. Now, the menu, it has a lot of classics on there, so you're going to get your thrice-cooked bacon with rice cakes, your cumin lamb ribs, the kung pao pastrami is there, so all the hits from missions past are there. And I did try one classic, the broccoli with beef cheeks, which I remember from the previous East Broadway location was phenomenal. But really, I tried some new things, which really impressed me. They did a beautiful, just simple pea shoots that I think like the folks cooking in the back, the woks are really dialed perfectly well. And they did this beautiful cabbage salad, which, sounds like a cabbage salad, but it's beautiful and balanced and acidic and salty and everything you want in like a light initial salad. And what I really liked was the shiso fried rice, which was showered with shiso. So much shiso. Like more shiso than I thought I even needed in a fried rice, but it all worked extremely well. It was a delicious bite. And then the whole fish was great. And I can't remember which fish it was, but it was something I really wanted to have that night. And to close, they're doing a passion fruit panna cotta with Pop Rocks as the dessert. So really fun, simple dessert to close. Check it out. Mission is there. I mean, it hasn't like gotten any big reviews or anything. It's kind of quietly opened in the space, but I feel big things are coming from Mission.
My last thing from Chicago is had to pay a visit to Lula Cafe in Logan Square, which is, such an iconic restaurant ever since it opened in 1999. And it was a perfect, like, early summer, sunny, early dinner to have there, really special. I think my favorite thing that we had was the roast chicken, which has been on the menu since they opened in 1999. It's a just perfect roast chicken served on top of a potato bitter green panzanella that kind of soaks up all of the chicken juices, and then an anchovy aioli. I think that kind of serving idea for a roast chicken is something that I want to steal and try to do at home. Also had a really delicious carrot cake. I love carrot cake.
Had it.
You've had the carrot cake.
I've had it there, yeah.
It's a beautiful layer cake. It's very like cleanly sliced, and I just love carrot cake. So that actually we took to go and ate in the hotel room later because we were so full from everything else that we had. But I just love Lula, and I think if I lived in Chicago, it would be the restaurant I would want to spend a lot of time at. So it's always fun to check in on old friends.
Such a great restaurant, and I love Lula. We've had Jason Hamill on the show talking about it when he released his cookbook a few years ago. such a classic Chicago restaurant, and by all means, the desserts were a real highlight for me as well. I've had that cake, and I try to go back when I'm in Chicago if I can get a reservation. It can be a tough table to book sometimes. And
yeah, I just set a Resi alert, honestly, and then I got a table for 6:15, and I was at the wedding reception, and I jumped on the reservation.
Love to hear Resi alert coming through.
Yeah,
it works.
Shout out to the Resi alerts.
Shout out to Resi. I just also have to reflect on the times when they would, on Halloween, they would reboot their restaurant. Do you remember hearing about that or reading about that? It was like their kind of their like Halloween costume would be the entire restaurant would be a different restaurant. So I think they probably did Trotter one day. They did Taco Bell. I'm super paraphrasing from memory, but they rebooted the whole restaurant. It was like their Halloween costume. So
that's fun. I love that.
I love that. And just great spirit there. And Jason runs a great restaurant. So happy to hear that.
What's your last thing?
My last thing is when I was in Portland recently, I got to go to the Meadow, which is a terrific chocolate salt shop, everything. It's a beautiful shop. And Ashkenazi is a chocolate company that I've been hip to. They're out of Springfield, Missouri. And they're in this bean to bar movement, which I love. But what I really appreciate is that the branding has truly the farmers front and center on the branding. And I tried one bar, and I'd love to try more. I'm going to order more online. They're pretty affordable too, which I really appreciate. And the bar that I tried was a 77% dark chocolate bar from Davao, the Philippines, and it was amazing. This is really premium chocolate. And I highly recommend checking these guys out. Ashkenazi is the company.
Okay, I have to say that I went on the website to make sure we were pronouncing it right and found out that the owner was briefly a professional wrestler in Japan.
Okay.
When he was in college in Tokyo, and his wrestling name was Shooting Sean Springfield.
That is really a delicious bit of information. Terrific chocolate. Thank you for that fun fact. Great catching up with you, Eliza.
Yeah, thanks for sharing your 3 things.
Adam Roberts, welcome back to This Is Taste. How are you, man?
I'm doing great. It's so nice to be back here.
I love this conversation. I love that we're having this. Your book is Food Person. It's your debut novel. I read it in like 5 days.
Okay, great.
And that was only because of travel. I probably would have read it in 2 days if it would have been just sitting in my home enjoying it. It's so terrific. It's anybody who listens to this show and listens to journalists and cookbook authors talk about writing cookbooks. You cover like this dynamic between the writer and the author in the ghostwriting world. But before we get to Food Person, I just want to know, like, you're back in New York living here. It's been maybe a year and a half or so. What's your rotation right now? You were in LA for a decade.
Yeah.
You're back. What's it like restaurant wise for you?
You know, it's funny because it's like when I lived in LA, I would read the New Yorker, like Tables for Two column, and I'd be so envious. And I'd be like, oh, I'm going to hit all those restaurants. But the truth is, like, when you live in New York, I don't know if you feel this way, but you end up eating just in your neighborhood. Those become your favorite restaurants. So we moved to Boerum Hill. And my favorite restaurant in our neighborhood is Barbette. I don't know if you've ever been there.
I used to live in Carroll Gardens, so I know the neighborhood really well. And I used to go to Barbette. Yeah, very cool place.
I love it. I mean, to me, it's like the dream restaurant because
really
it's
is.
Cozy. It's not too crowded. It's not overhyped.
Yeah.
And they have that dessert where it's like a yellow cake with chocolate ganache frosting and sea salt. And it's like the best thing. Yeah. But in terms of like my regular rotation are mostly things around me. So like the Chinese restaurant near me, Shan, is great.
Yeah.
Szechuan. But then there's also the ones that like, you know, special occasion ones that like I'm so excited, like Le Veau d'Or.
Yeah.
For my birthdays, it's where we went. I don't know if you've been there yet.
I haven't been there yet. Yeah.
Oh my God, it's like the dream of like a classic French New York restaurant.
Yeah.
You know, it's an old restaurant, but it has like the red and white checker tablecloths, and they cook things that like you would see like in an old French cookbook, like veal brains and sweetbreads and all that kind of stuff. So
it comes up a lot on the show, Le Veau d'Or.
Oh yeah,
made a lot of year-end lists, and when we're doing the recaps. But
the worst thing about it is trying to pronounce it, but otherwise
you got it. You nailed it. Well, Adam, I want you to set up Food Person because there's definitely a setup, and I don't want to spoil anything because there's a lot of great twists and turns. But tell us a little bit about your protagonist, Isabella, and just in general the gist of it.
Yeah, the story is about an introverted, shy, aspiring food writer in her 20s that's in New York. And she dreams of becoming the next like MFK Fisher or the next like Julia Child, but she gets offered this job ghostwriting a celebrity's cookbook, and the celebrity's like a Lindsay Lohan type who's sort of spiraling downward. She got fired off a TV show, and she has no interest in food except she sees this as a way to resuscitate her career. And so Isabella, this is like the last thing Isabella wants to do, but Molly, the star, needs the help, and so it's about this unlikely friendship that forms between the two of them.
It also between that friendship building and deteriorating and building more. You really have a comment on modern food media. Isabella works at a website that's like a high frequency news and recipe website with a lot of social component and pressure. It could be 5 publications that are in existence today, and won't name any of them.
You can name them.
But honestly, Adam, what are you trying to say about modern food media through the character Isabella and her trials at this publication?
Well, one of the things I was thinking about on my way over here was like, I started my food blog 20 years ago in 2004, and it was a new idea. I mean, that saturation hadn't happened yet. So the internet as a place to launch yourself was kind of a new thing. But now, I mean, it's 2025. If I were a young food writer, I would be overwhelmed at the idea of how to make a name for yourself, especially if you're a writer and not a TikToker and not making videos or doing podcasting or whatever. It's like, if you want to make a name for yourself as a writer, how do you launch yourself? So I think in a way I'm writing about that challenge. It's like, how do you make a name for yourself in the food media world and also hold on to your integrity?
It's really, really well thought through, because I can't imagine the pressure. There's a memorable scene where Isabella, who is a writer and editor and writing recipes and really in the weeds with text on the page, is like thrown into an Instagram live.
Yes.
Like kind of in the test kitchen. There's a test kitchen at this publication. And really she fails. And there's a comment about like, not every food writer needs to be on camera, but maybe they all kind of do.
It happened to me, actually, when I had my food blog. The Food Network came calling.
Oh, yeah.
And they had me shoot a pilot or like shoot like a test video. And like I wrote this whole script, and I was on a soundstage at the Food Network. And there was a whole crew on the set with cameras and lights and stuff. And I just froze. Like I literally just froze because I couldn't remember what I had to say. And it was one of the most mortifying experiences of my life. So certainly autobiographical, that moment.
That moment felt like you were writing from experience. And it's terrific that the editor-in-chief is vile in the best ways, as we love seeing people of power flex that power in ugly ways. It's part of media.
Yeah.
I also like in Food Person, at the heart of it is somebody, a character who just loves cookbooks in a way that you write so beautifully. You write about the history of cookbooks. You write about modern cookbooks. And through this character, there's like a deep love of cookbooks. Tell me, when you're writing this novel, are you just like looking at your shelf? Because you're name checking, I would say like 50, 100 cookbooks by name. Some of them are real deep cuts, which I love. I mean, I think any fan of cookbooks should read this book, because you really do talk about cookbooks and you give little mini vignettes that pay tribute to these cookbooks.
Well, it's funny because if I ever get divorced, it won't be because of infidelity. It'll be because I bought another cookbook, because I have so many cookbooks. I mean, I get in trouble all the time. If I come home with a new cookbook, I get screamed at. But I have. When I write at the dining room table, which is appropriate, and we have a big shelf next to us, and I have a collection of really old cookbooks and really funny ones. I have like the Lifestyles of the Rich and Famous cookbook by Robin Leach. I have,
love that.
I have Uta Hagen's cookbook. I have, but then I also have like Craig Claiborne's book on etiquette. I have, classic veal cookery. So I have always loved cookbooks, and it's my favorite, thing to do is to go to a cookbook store and just like browse around, and then come home with a cookbook and just sit there on the couch for hours, just like flipping through it. And it's less about, the getting recipes, which is a part of it, but it's also just about like immersing yourself into this world of somebody else and the intimacy of their kitchen and their way of thinking about food. There's something that a cookbook does that I don't think fiction does, or poetry, or TikTok videos. It's like there's something very intimate and personal about it.
Well, you mentioned a cookbook store, and I think that there's a central couple moments actually that take place at a cookbook store, and any fan of New York cookbook stores will recognize Bonnie Slotnick and Archestratus in Brooklyn, maybe a little bit of Kitchen Arts and Letters. And I think the owner of the store has a lot of heart, and it's an important relationship between Isabella and the owner. And talk about how you wanted to portray your version of a cookbook store, because it's maybe not exactly the way it works at these stores that exist today, but there's some reality there. But you're kind of writing almost the idealized cookbook store.
I mean, for me, I'm not a Star Wars nerd, but it's like Yoda's planet. I think
Great.
Dagobah,
Yeah.
it's like Isabella is going to get, it's like her mentor, and this is like her, or like Superman, like, was that like Ice Palace thing?
The Ice Palace, yeah.
But it's where she goes to like feel most like herself, and where it's like, and she's looking at these shelves of these names and these iconic people, and this is her dream. And so it's like her mentor is Alice, who owns the cookbook shop, and it's sort of like she's the one who pushes Isabella to take this job. It's like the idea that like ghostwriting a celebrity's cookbook would stop her from having this career. It's like, well, wait a second. Melissa Clark has ghostwritten cookbooks, and Julia Turshen has ghostwritten cookbooks. So all these people have ghostwritten cookbooks, and there's no shame in it. And it's actually part of the process of becoming a food writer. So I think it's where she grows as a character and where she wisens up a bit.
Yeah, because she doesn't realize that you can actually write a cookbook.
Yeah.
I mean, even though she's such a fan and a really talented home cook, and works at a publication, she thinks cookbooks are unattainable.
Yeah.
And I think it's a great moment, because I think we talk to a lot of authors on the show, and like, you can write a cookbook.
Yeah.
Like, we're acquiring cookbooks all the time here at Penguin Random House, and like, there's plenty of publishers, independent and major 5, that want cookbooks. Like, it's a beast that continues to need to be fed. So I think it's a great, if in reading your novel, you get into like the mind of a really talented food writer making that jump to cookbook writing.
And there's the counterpoint, which is that, yes, you can write a cookbook, but can you support yourself writing cookbooks?
Yes.
Which is a whole other question. And I think that's underneath the story a little bit, because like her mother is certainly like an antagonist in terms of like discouraging her from this career. And and I think that voice has always been in my head, like, can you keep doing this? When are you going to hit the wall? So
yeah, the mother is a complex character.
Yeah,
you write a really, really good one there.
I wonder where I got that.
Deeply triggering to some people. I wonder where you got that.
Yeah.
Please read this book. There's a lot of layers here, and it's just fantastic.
Thanks, Matt.
Well, you mentioned Melissa Clark, and you mentioned real life people. Now, what I thought was very cool, and I want to get your take, because I kept thinking, like, you're writing like conversations about living active writers, like between Isabella and Alice, about Sola Al-Whaley, Alison Roman. They're mentioned by name, almost like you were like eavesdropping on a conversation in modern times. And I felt that's very fresh. Like, I haven't read fiction that had real food, writers and media folks mentioned by name. Tell me, like, what's it like writing about real life people in this fictional world?
I thought it was important to ground the story in this reality, because I do think this is, what people who are trying to become food writers, these are the people they're thinking about. These are the tastemakers and the cookbook authors, everyone from like Molly Baz to Alison Roman to, Sola. These are the people who are aspiring to become food writers and cookbook authors are looking to these people. So for me to make up a bunch of fictional names, I feel like wouldn't have been as effective as just naming the names of the people that, any young person today would want to become.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And you picked the right names. I feel like
thanks,
you picked the people that I think that young food writers are striving for, to your point exactly.
Oh, yeah.
And really, you write about, some of them you give a little personality to. Did you talk to any of these folks while you were writing it? I mean, are they going to be like pleasantly surprised?
I hope so. I mean, they're all, there's nothing derogatory about any of them.
No, it's fair. It's not.
Yeah. I think, no, I did not tell a single person that they would be in this book, but if they read it and they see themselves, I hope that that's all a positive experience.
I think so. Like, I think you're very neutral to positive with all the names. There's no cattiness there, which maybe there was an opportunity to go there instinctually, but you didn't. You kind of avoided that.
Yeah, I did not want to get canceled before the book comes out. Yeah.
I mean, like, good call, Adam.
Thank you.
Now, at the center of this book is this collaboration between Molly. Lohan comes to mind. I think of like, it's definitely like a pop star actor who has like a network personality or profile, but also has had a lot of paparazzi. And you're writing in kind of a blend of like 2010 reality and modern reality. I think it's fun to kind of blur the timeline, because it's like a time when there's actually like a Page Six that's super active. But how did you want to accurately portray the collaboration between a celebrity and a food writer, because I think there's a lot of real world stuff there. I mean, we hear about it here in the building. A lot of it is, of course, off the record, and we don't talk about it. But like when you talk about a writer having to work with a difficult personality, this does come up. I mean, it's with any publishing. How did you research that? Think about it? Did you talk with anybody who's a ghostwriter to get that?
Well, this might come as a big shock to you, but I ghostwrote a celebrity's cookbook.
I actually didn't know that. Tell me all about it.
Well, I can't tell too much because I signed an NDA.
Oh, okay.
But I had a very nice celebrity. So, I mean, my experience was entirely positive. There was no downside. But it gave me the germ of the idea. It was like, what if this had been a horrible experience? What if this had been a really difficult celebrity? And just the idea of somebody who's famous for one thing, then trying to enter this other world and the navigating that, that to me was like I had a lot of stuff to draw on from that. The other part of this is my husband is a director. So, I mean, I hear the stories about celebrities all the time. And I wrote, we talked about this last time, but I wrote for a TV show. So I'd worked with actors before. So I had a lot of experiences of people being difficult. And the kind of difficulty that you experience with actors oftentimes has to do with their own traumas and their own things that they're going through, which at first it might be hard to be empathetic towards, but eventually the more you learn, the more you're like, oh, I see where this well of talent comes from, but also where all the pain comes from. So so there was a lot for me to draw on.
I love that there's real world experience. I mean, it has some frequencies from the show Hacks. There's not like the age dynamic, which is the core of that show, but there's definitely like a little bit of a celebrity being supported by a creative. Do you watch that show at all?
Oh, yeah, I love Hacks.
Yeah.
I mean, to me, the model for this was Devil Wears Prada.
Yeah.
Because it's about someone who's entering this world that is overwhelming to them, and that kind of powerful, antagonist who is rejecting you, and then sort of that moment of vulnerability and that connection. But it kind of became its own thing. I think the making it about cookbooks and food took it in its own weird directions, and I think kind of exploring the characters through food and through their relationships to food helped me feel like, oh, I'm not ripping anybody off here. Like, this is its own thing. Like, this is its own story,
Completely agree. I mean, the mention of Hacks was not implying
no.
Because honestly, if you're into food, you're going to really love this novel because there's real shit in there. The real life examples and great culinary scenes. Some dramatic, some mundane, but they really show that you love cooking yourself as a writer, and it really just jumps off the page. Have you engaged with Hollywood at all with this novel? Are you developing it? Because it feels like obviously this is made for adaptation.
Yeah, I mean, I'm working with producers right now. It's so funny because when I was in Hollywood, I was trying to sell screenplays.
Yeah.
And now I wrote this novel, and suddenly it's like, let's turn it into a screenplay. It's like, but the moment I turned my back on Hollywood to like focus on New York and novel writing, it's like, that's when Hollywood was like, wait, come back. So that's been a funny experience. And, it's such a slow process. I mean, some of these things, I mean, I was a huge fan of Crying in H Mart. And that, I mean, I just read that fell apart.
It did,
And it's like, oh my God, like if that can't become a movie, because it was such a great book. So I have, I'm not holding out hope that this will be on screen next year, but you never know. So.
Yeah, and you never know. I mean, there's crazier things have happened, and I think there is an appetite for scripted food related storytelling that is grounded in reality. It's not like a fictitious world. Like, let's put some real people in there.
And I think that like different from The Bear and some of the other stuff that we've seen, like Chef and like kind of male driven stories, it's nice to have like a female driven story about food and cooking and cookbooks, which I don't know if there's really that many movies or TV shows about the world of cookbook writing. So
Isabella and Molly, two major characters. What's your stunt casting? We had to go there.
I mean, for me, I wrote the book thinking of Beanie Feldstein as Isabella. So that would be fantastic. I also like Rachel Sennett. I think she'd be really good.
Very cool.
And then for Molly, I kind of imagined like a Jennifer Lawrence type, like someone like kind of gruff and potentially difficult, but then also really emotional and vulnerable when necessary. So that's the dream cast.
Let's do it. Let's make that happen.
Thank you.
I have to ask you about next projects because you've written this novel and you're prolific in your writing. I mean, does Molly and Isabella's world expand? Are we thinking?
No, I'm not interested in a sequel, but I have been working on the next novel.
Cool.
Also, shockingly, takes place in the world of cookbook authors and writing. And this one's more about a woman who went to law school, based on my own experience, accidentally going to law school, who graduates and realizes she wants to become a chef. So she takes a job with a cookbook author who is retiring but like needs an assistant. So it's sort of about like it's a different kind of dynamic.
Okay.
I wanted to write like about an older generation of cookbook authors and sort of specifically gay men who lived through like the AIDS crisis. And like, there's a lot of iconic cookbook authors who did go through that. And so I wanted to write about that world.
That's really special to capture that world. And what's the time period?
Modern. I mean, it takes place now.
It's a modern time, but you're working with an older cookbook author who lived through that era.
It's sort of like another mentor story, but this was it's like more focused on the mentorship rather than like a side story.
Oh, man. Well, I love that. I can't wait to check that one out.
All right, well, tell the people upstairs that you love it because I
mean,
have to sell it to them.
It's not the people upstairs. It's the people listening to the show. You got to pick up the book. You got to buy it and support Adam because these are the types of books we love on our show. And
thanks.
I love seeing the world we cover here on the show be, told in like a little bit of a alternate reality.
Totally.
In a fictitious world.
Maybe I'll turn you into a fictional character.
Hey, man, I can give you all the dope.
Okay.
I definitely think a podcast angle for a book could be quite interesting.
I think so too.
But I love this conversation. The book is called Food Person. You got to pick it up. Love it. Adam, on This Is Taste, we ask guests about their discerning taste. So to close this interview, here's a little rapid fire, fast and furious taste check. Are you ready?
I'm always ready.
The best fruit.
Okay. I like tart fruits. I don't know if this is officially a fruit because I think it's classified as a vegetable, but rhubarb is in season right now.
Yeah.
And I love rhubarb in dessert. Now, I also love passion fruit. So that's the other one.
Oh,
like,
yes.
I don't like to cook with it, but if it's in a flavor or like in an ice cream or something, I love it.
The worst vegetable.
Baby corn.
Yeah.
It's very disappointing. You want it to have a lot of corn flavor, and it just sort of tastes like nothing.
Yeah, it's canned. I guess you can get it fresh at certain
I've seen it fresh.
Yeah,
it's not that great.
Yeah, it's tough to cook with.
I'm going to get so many angry letters from that baby corn industry, but...
Yeah, let's do a profile of the baby corn industry. Like, write in with those negative letters, and we'll certainly, let's tell that story of baby corn.
And it takes a long time to eat if you eat it like Tom Hanks in Big.
It's truly one of the most iconic food scenes in film history.
It is. It's true.
Eating the baby corns. I love that. What's your typical breakfast?
Okay. In the winter, I make oatmeal. And I do it in a lot of different ways, but I sometimes toast the oats.
Yeah.
Sometimes I do like overnight oats. Sometimes I do like steel cut oats. But in the summer, I'll do more like yogurt, granola, and fruit. Also, sometimes I'll just have a banana.
Yeah, fair enough. Now, we didn't talk about Amateur Gourmet, your Substack. Yeah. Like, it's active, it's there, it's beautiful. I receive it. I love it. And you're cooking, you're publishing recipes. What's the setup of Amateur Gourmet right now?
Amateur Gourmet, the newsletter, is basically just a diary of what I do in a week.
Yeah.
And everything I cook and eat. And I cook a lot and I eat a lot. So I'm never at a loss for things to write about. I always have actually too much material to write about because I'm always cooking something. And now I'm at the point where I'm making things I've written about before, so I don't even take pictures anymore. I'm like, I made a strawberry rhubarb pie last night, and like, I'm not gonna even write about this because like I've written so many newsletters about strawberry rhubarb pie. But yeah, I like writing it because it's like kind of a chance for me to go back over like where did I eat this week? Yeah. What did I think of it? I do think I could like make it more like commercial by like packaging recipes in it and stuff, but it's not really what I want to do.
I like it. It feels throwback 20 years. It's like a food blog essentially, which is a beautiful thing.
I'm going back to my roots.
Do you like working with Substack?
I do. They're great. I mean, the fact that I can make some money writing a newsletter is fantastic. And their model is so simple. It's just like you sign up, you get followers, you create paid content for what you want to charge for, and then you go from there.
Back to the taste check. The best dessert.
Okay. I love those tricolore rainbow cookies.
Yes.
Red, yellow, green.
Have you made them?
I have. Yeah. And it's very nostalgic for me because my mom would buy them at the Jewish deli. Mm-hmm. I think it's a crossover dessert because it's like Italian, but Jewish people eat it too. So it's if I see it, like I think like Teresi serves it or one of those restaurants or Carbone. They just like I like the fancy version. I like the cheap version. Yeah. I like almond anything, and I love making almond cake too. That's probably my other favorite dessert.
I love that. A restaurant you wish you could bring back from the dead.
Well, I don't think it's completely dead, but Prune. it's not open to the public.
It's like a private restaurant.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think for the sake of the people, Gabrielle Hamilton needs to reopen Prune. That and Franny's from Brooklyn.
Yeah.
I really miss Franny's. There was nothing quite like it.
Nothing like it. What a legend in the pizza game.
Yeah.
You know, inspiring so many chefs to open new things.
And there's a lot of restaurants, I guess, that try to do that and maybe do it well, but I just miss that original model.
I just feel like Prune as a private restaurant makes sense. It's like, do it on your own terms, chef.
No, but I do miss the atmosphere. Like on a cold winter's night, popping into Prune and having a Negroni and eating those like Triscuits with like sardines on them and mustard. It's fantastic.
I mean, get this TV deal done and there you go. Rent it out for a night.
Oh, I know.
Celebrate.
I had a friend who is still a friend, but I'm going to put that in quotes because he did do that dinner there and didn't invite me.
That is the tough thing about private events.
Can you imagine?
A finite guest list.
That's a friendship ender for me.
That is. I mean, definitely.
You've had this friend on your podcast, but I won't say anymore.
Oh, okay. Well, maybe I'm thinking through the many guests we've had. I think Prune is a great answer. When you're craving fast food, Adam, where are you going?
You know, it's funny. We lived in LA for 12 years, and my husband loved In-N-Out Burger. But I'm loyal to Shake Shack. I still really like Shake Shack. I walked past the Shake Shack on the way here, and I was like, maybe that's where I'll have lunch. I mean, you know, maybe I don't have as discerning a taste. I know some people are not as into Shake Shack as they are into.
It's my number one.
Oh, it is your number one.
It's for fast food burgers. That's my number.
What's your order at Shake Shack?
Oh, I think it's like a double shack.
Yeah,
definitely. Never fries. I'm a never fry guy there. I just don't like them.
I've heard that.
So I'm typically just like one double and like a soda.
Yeah, that sounds really good.
That's it. What's your order?
Same, but I do get the fries. I'm not as judgmental about fries. I know that people don't like the Shake Shack fries.
Yeah.
But I don't mind them. And then sometimes I get like their black and white milkshake.
Yes, it's a good one.
It's really good.
Oh my gosh, good call there.
Feels nourishing.
What's your favorite city outside America to visit for food?
Okay, my instinct was to say Paris. Because that was my first time, you know, that's where I traveled the first time for food reasons. And I went there and I ate my way through it. But it's so cliche. And recently I went to Mexico City. And I think Mexico City is where it's the most exciting to eat right now. It's like, it's so dynamic. There are flavors you don't get in the United States. I mean, at this point, you can get any French dish you want in New York City. Yeah. But you couldn't get every Mexican dish in New York City that you can get in Mexico City. Oh and we had so many great meals there. So that's probably my favorite right now.
I love that answer. Last one, your favorite sandwich?
Well, when we lived in LA, there was a place called Wax Paper, and they had sandwiches named after NPR hosts, and they had the Terry Gross, and it was like turkey on focaccia with like a spicy jalapeno slaw and aioli, and that was a pretty fantastic sandwich.
That's come up quite a few times.
Really?
Kai Rizdal seems to have popped a few times here.
Yeah.
But the Terry Gross has never come up, so I love that.
Oh, you got to go to LA and have the Terry Gross.
I love that. Well, once again, Food Person is the book. Please buy it. It's terrific. Adam Roberts, thank you so much for joining This Is Taste.
Thanks, Matt. This was so much fun.
This Is Taste is hosted and produced by Eliza Barbanel and me, Matt Rodbard. The show is edited by lead producer Clayton Gumbert and supervised by Pat Stango, Director of Media Production and Development at Penguin Random House. Thanks to Shalia Harris and the production team at Penguin Random House. Theme music by Steve Rydell. Logo and guest illustrations by Ellie Skurzat. Visit Taste online at tastecooking.com and make sure to subscribe to our newsletter to keep updated on all cool things in the world of taste.